Hey, what's up you guys? My name is Chris, and welcome to another episode of Stavs in 3D, the channel where I talk to you about 3D. In the last video, what we did is I showed you a time-lapse of a project that I made about a year ago now, and I just kind of walked you through the basic steps of what I was doing without getting into all the nitty-gritties of how I did it. So today what I thought we would do is let's go ahead and just make that exact project. Because it is a pretty simple house, and so we'll be able to get into a lot of the just very basic details of ArchiPack. ArchiPack, as I mentioned in the last video, is the add-on that I use the most. So I don't have a video on how to install an add-on. There are plenty out there. Go ahead and just find a video that explains how to install ArchiPack, install that. But then again, this is kind of an intermediate tutorial anyway, where you should probably know the basics of Blender already in order to follow along super confidently with this. That said, if you are a beginner, I highly recommend you check out excuse me, I highly recommend you check out Andrew Price's Blender tutorial, where he explains the process of making a donut. Andrew Price is a YouTuber that gives a lot of really great content about Blender. I highly recommend you check out his channel, Blender Guru. Really great guy. That said, if you're still a beginner and you want to watch along anyway, I'm going to have screencast keys turned on where you can follow all the keystrokes as I'm performing them. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into our scene. So this is, a brand new Blender file. I already saved it in the proper location. And let's go ahead and start by deleting our default cube. Poor little default cube. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and change our units from metric to imperial. I'm an American. And the layout that we're going to use is in imperial system. Also, I'm going to try to keep my videos to about 20 minutes. So I'm actually going to go ahead and start a timer right now. And we're going to try to keep this to about 20 minutes just to make it a little bit more easily digestible if you're a real go-getter and you want to watch, 6 or 7 videos in a row, then more power to you. Also, one of the things that I'm going to, I'll go ahead and just jump back to this. One of the other things that I've got on the docket is I want to try out something new. I haven't really seen this yet, and I want to try walking people through Blender basically in person and just stream that, or record it and present, the real process of a beginner that doesn't know anything about Blender learning how to do ArchViz for the beginners. I think that that's going to be a very unique take on beginner tutorials, where sometimes, at least in my experience, when I was first starting out in Blender, I'm going to go ahead and stop my timer and reset it. When I was starting out in Blender, I found it kind of difficult when I was following different beginner tutorials because sometimes they would go very step by step and it was all great and easy for me to follow. But every now and then I would run into a problem, and because I couldn't actually talk to the person, I was basically lost in that tutorial until I went and watched a different one that explained the step that I got lost at. So my hope is that by having a step-by-step kind of walkthrough, that I'll be able to answer all of those questions that a beginner has as they come up. Anyway, so if you are interested in that, or if you know someone who's interested in that, please let me know in the comments and I'll get a hold of you and we will, excuse me, I've had a cough for the last little while. I will edit out any really bad bouts of cough that I have. I don't usually like to edit my videos, but anyway. So if you or anyone that you know is interested in learning Blender and would like to have someone just kind of walk them through all the basics, basically in person, I mean, we'll go ahead and do it through a video chat, then that would be amazing. I think that is probably going to help a lot of people. Anyway, so back to our project. So again, we went ahead and opened a new scene. We changed to Imperial. Now let's go ahead and open up our layout. And again, this is going to be the same one that we used in the last video. So we're going to go to, I went ahead and hit Shift A, Image, Images as Plane. And then this is where I'm keeping all of my stuff for this video. So we'll rotate this on the y-axis, I guess, by 90 degrees. By hitting 7, we go to the top view. And let's go ahead and go into, actually, whoops. There is another, I forgot about this. In Blender 2.8, they came out with another option where you can import something as a reference. I know we're already in 2.9. This is a while ago. I just forgot. And then you don't even need to be in your material view in order to see what the layout looks like, which is pretty nice. So this is the, I guess, width, I don't know which to call it. The x-axis of our building is 50 feet. So let's go ahead and just import or create a plane. Then we'll go to the item tab over here and make this a 50 foot by 50 foot. And voila, now we've got this giant plane. If we go into our wireframe, then we can select our reference and just scale that up until it is about the same size. And just like in that time lapse, this doesn't have to be super detailed. I'm gonna try to go kind of quickly through this, where we won't get into all the details of getting like exact measurements of everything. That's gonna be in another video. This is just gonna be kind of blocking out, like let's say a client came up to you and said, hey, I want to know what this house is gonna look like. You don't really need exact dimensions. If they've got a layout kind of like this already. They already have these exact dimensions for the person that's going to be building it. And so as long as we get more or less within the right scale, it should probably be okay. That said, also try to get things as accurate and close as you can. This would be like a first pass kind of thing. If it were a final professional thing that you were going to present to, like let's say an architect came to you and said, I'm ready to present this to the client, and I want everything very, very accurate. Then we would get into all the nitty-gritty details of exactly how long is this wall, we make the wall that long, etc. For this is just a first pass. All right, so we'll go ahead and just drag that line down. Then I went ahead and changed my, oh wait, no, Control R. That is the default. Usually I change it to Control tilde. I'm actually surprised I didn't do that this time. All right, so we'll go ahead and make a couple of loop cuts. And just again, we're blocking out our just our main geometry, the main geometry of our walls. And then what we're going to do is we're going to delete all the vertices that aren't necessary for this for the walls. So let's see, if I come in here, I can see it a little bit better. We'll dissolve those vertices, and if you again, this is intended for intermediate, so you probably already know this, but if you just hit X on those vertices and delete them, then it removes the face, and then you have to select those vertices and join them back together. So if you don't already know, dissolving the vertices will help to Like in this case, we can just delete the vertices. But in a case like this, if we hit dissolve vertices, then there's still a line connected from here to here. If I go into this really isn't. Let me go ahead and hide our reference. Oh, it deleted it. That wasn't supposed to happen. Not sure what happened there. Anyway, we'll go ahead and reconnect those two. And then we will delete this edge and delete that edge. All right, so this is our basic geometry. Oh, and we can dissolve this vertex as well. So now everything is about as simple as can be while creating the perimeter of our house. I forgot to set our timer. Well, this video is going to be a little bit longer. All right, so 20-minute timer. And let's go ahead and jump into... so we'll go ahead and tab out of edit mode, and then we will turn this into a curve. I don't think that this is a default hotkey anymore. I went ahead and re-implemented this hotkey. If you want to convert something from an object to a curve, because we created a plane, then we converted it to a curve, and so if you go into object and then let's see, where is that? Transform or convert mesh to curve from mesh, mesh from curve, grease pencil from curve mesh. I went ahead and just created. You can right click and create change a shortcut or assign shortcut if a shortcut hasn't already been assigned. So I went ahead and did Alt-C. That was in Blender 2.7, where Alt-C turned a mesh into a curve, and I thought it was really useful. So anyway, Alt-C. That's my hotkey there to turn this into a curve. And so now if we go into our edit mode, you can see that these are curve points instead of mesh points, I guess, like polygon vertices and whatnot. Anyway, the value of doing that is that if we go into our Create tab, these are all of our ArchiPack objects. And so if we click on the curve button right here, we'll go ahead and click on, let's see, I suppose let's go ahead and go with outside. Typically, excuse me, typically in architecture, at least in my very limited experience of it, I've only done a couple of projects with a contractor where we went through the full process of designing a building. Excuse me. But typically what I've discovered is that architects tend to, like you either be able to say I want a 50-foot house and that's the interior dimensions where like the room is 50 feet, or that's the exterior dimensions where the outside of the wall is going to be 50 feet. So the actual room with a 6-inch house is going to be 49 feet. And that's the approach that most architects, I believe, tend to follow. All right, so now we went ahead and just pretty quickly we're able to turn our basic dimensions, our basic perimeter, into a full set of walls. And what's really nice about ArchiPack is that instead of needing to go into like edit mode and wireframe and grabbing like these vertices and adjusting them in order to change our perimeters, and you'd have to do that all the way around if you wanted your perimeters to be a little bit different. You can go into ArchiPack and adjust the width of your walls. So typically it's half a foot, 6 inches in America. Then what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to make the floor, let's go with 2 feet. And then if we go with a 9-foot wall, then the whole wall is going to have to be 11, 9 plus 2. And the reason that I'm doing that is it's going to drop basically what would be the foundation wall. It's going to drop that 2 feet below the ground. If you watch the last video, you'll notice that I ran into a little bit of a mistake there where I was trying to get a couple of steps going up to the door, and this is going to give us that opportunity where we can have the ground is basically going to be down here at the bottom of the wall, and then we're going to have a couple of steps that are going to lead up to the door, which will be 2 feet above ground. So that said, let's go ahead and let's just start adding in our doors and windows, so it starts looking a little bit more like a house. So you can either go Shift A and then Mesh, Archipack, and select things from there, or what I usually do is during this part of the process, I usually just keep the Create tab open, and then you've got all of those different options right here. And this is all going to just be exterior stuff. We're not going to get into the interiors just yet. That'll be a separate video where we will explore the wonderful world of interiors. But let's go ahead and just add a door. And these are just some default doors, and you can mess with the different parameters if you want. But for now, we're just going to start with the default things that they give us. So yeah, we will go ahead and let's see if this is a little bit of a roundabout way of doing this. I'm going to try to center this door exactly, which you can just kind of eyeball it, which would probably be good enough for this this part of the process, since again we're just kind of going with general stuff. But if you want to get exact, in here there is an edge center where it'll snap something to an edge center. So if I hit G now and then Control to apply the snapping option, and then it is not snapping. Well, that's curious. We'll go ahead and just enable snapping. Huh, it's still not. Is it because it's like these two are related? Yeah, probably. Okay, so we'll go ahead and just add a plane, turn off snapping, go to vertex mode, then we can snap this plane to that vertex, snap it over here. This is a little bit of a roundabout way of doing this. But now if we grab our door, then we can go back to edge center. And then if we limit it to the x-axis, then we can snap it to here. But you'll notice that it's snapping it according to the edge of the door instead of to the origin being snapped to the center. So if we click on our wall instead, you have tons of arrows, and so some of these arrows are referring to like the angles and the width of this wall, angles and width of this wall, etc. The arrow that we're interested in is this one right here, and that is the door that's placed in the wall. So now if we snap that to the center of that edge, now our door is exactly in the middle. And I know that was a really complicated way of doing that, but as you get more familiar with it, it'll get a little faster. But anyway, also you may have noticed that it has cut out this square down below. That's going to be hidden by a couple of steps, so that should be fine. Let's see. Next, let's go ahead and throw in a couple of windows like we did, and we'll throw in that one, throw in that one. Then because these two windows are going to be different from the windows over here, then I'm going to escape out of that, and then just create a couple more windows. And actually, let's use these ones as our starters. We'll do 1, 2, 3. And I'm not going to be as particular about the windows. We're just going to kind of eyeball where those are supposed to go. Put that kind of in the center. We'll get into some more of the details of how to arrange windows in another video. All right, so now we'll go and we'll select one of our windows and start. We'll click on the Archipack tab in order to start adjusting our windows a little bit. So let's say that they are 4 feet by 4 feet, or actually let's go with 5 by 5. All right, and then we will drop them down to 2. Is that too low? That looks pretty good to me. And then we will go into, let's see, the leaf section. And so we've got, let's go with 3 rows, and then we'll do 3 segments, like 3 leaves within each row. I don't know, I don't think that that's what you would call it in America. The author of this script is from France, and so leaf, that would probably be more like pane, P-A-N-E. Anyway, so we've got 5, we've got 3 by 3 grid, and you can see that it's kind of distorted. We've only got 2 rows, and one of our panes is just missing, and that's just because our dimensions are off. So what we can do is we can say our height is going to be 5 divided by 3. Yes, you can do math within these fields, which is very handy to know if you didn't already. And so now we've got a pretty nice 3 by 3 grid. And it also has, it automatically set the dimensions widthwise. So the column is 33.33. And then if you wanted to adjust those, wow, that adjusts pretty slowly. You'd be able to within each row. 33.33. Let's go back to the default. And then I mentioned this in the last video when I was going through all this. I wasn't really happy with how thick these guys were. So now if we go into the parts of the window, and then the window frame is going to refer to the frame of the entire window. We're going to go into the panel frame, and we're just going to adjust this from almost 0.2, what is that, 0.2, 0.2 feet. What is that in inches? I should be able to do that in my head. 2.3. All right. Let's go back to, back to feet. Let's just go ahead and shrink that down a little bit. Ooh, too much. 0.05. How does that look? Maybe a little bit thin. Actually, that might be okay. And again, I don't know if that would be physically possible, like if there are, I don't know, maybe some limitations on how thin that window pane frame could be in order to actually work. But I suppose if nothing else, the window company would be able to just create a 5 by 5 window and just add that over the top. So we'll go ahead and leave it that thin. Then over here, these windows are a little bit wide. So let's go ahead and make that 2, how about 3? I think that's pretty good. And we'll make them a little bit taller. And let's drop it down a little bit. This doesn't need to be exact, but again, this is just kind of a basic overview. But I'm gonna try to get it kind of close to the top of these other windows. Have the tops be about even. I feel like that's fairly common. Like they're a little bit shorter, but if you raise the bottom, I think that's going to look a little bit nicer than if you had the bottoms even with each other. Alrighty, so now we've got our door, our windows in place, and then we'll also go ahead and throw in our default garage door. And one thing that kind of bothers me a little bit, it really shouldn't, but the only default garage door that they've got here is, well, let me back up. When you go into the settings of your doors in ArchiPack, you can open your door by a specific angle. So if I come in here and we want it to seem like somebody left the door open, or maybe we have a character that we've placed in the scene and we're opening the door, then we can open that. Especially for animations, that can be really cool, where if you have your animation, your camera like fly in through the front door, you can have the doors open and close as the camera's approaching them. That can be a kind of neat little graphic. Well, the same is true for the garage door, where the kind of garage door that we've got is one that opens on a hinge. And I know that those garage doors do exist. It's a bummer that you don't have the kind of garage door available that opens on like a couple of tracks. That would be like split in different sections vertically, and then it opens on tracks and goes into, you know, like vertically, horizontally, goes from vertical to horizontal on the top of the garage. There are ways that you can manually perform all of that, but we're not really going to mess with any of the animations of that in this video. I might make a separate video just on how to create that kind of garage door effect, because I do think that is kind of neat, both in terms of the visuals of it, and then also in terms of, I don't know, like the technical components of how to create that properly. But anyway, not in this video. And we've only got 3 minutes left. So let's see. Let's go ahead and just create our steps. And to do that, we'll go ahead and just create, let's say, a plane. And we will place that right here. We've still got our, it's snapping to edge center. I usually leave things to vertex snapping personally. That's what I find is the most useful. Sometimes increment snapping can be really nice, but usually I go with vertex. All right, so let's say let's make our wall, or our step as wide as the walls, so that we don't have that weird little gap underneath. I feel like that's what I would prefer if this were my house. And then we'll go right up to there, and then we'll bring it down to the bottom of our threshold. And then let's say 1.5, 1.5 foot wide step, or maybe 1.33. Let's go with that. I feel like that's a little bit better. And then we'll bring this back in here. Also, if you don't want to keep like adjusting all of this stuff, something that can be pretty helpful is if you just click on the edge select mode, or that edge over here, right next to the wall. Shift S, cursor to selected, and then right click and go to set origin to 3D cursor. And then when you scale everything, it's going to be in terms of that. So if in this case, like if we decided actually we wanted to be like a 3 foot tread, then it's going to extend from that point. You won't have to keep adjusting. But yeah, just a little trick for making things a little bit faster for yourself. Then I suppose I'm just going to use the modifier, give this some thickness. So we will go with solidify, Control A, and apply the scale. And then let's say it's a 1 inch thick tread. All right, so that's our tread. And then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to take these two edges. Oh, I suppose there's just the one edge. Yeah, that should work. We'll go ahead and give this edge some weight. And the reason for that is that when we add our bevel, typically, you know, in Blender, everything has an exact 90-degree angle. That's our timer. So we will wrap this up real quick after our steps. Everything has like an exact angle by default in Blender. In the real world, that's not the case. So pretty much everything needs to have a little bit of a bevel. So we will, let's see, our bevel is right here. We will cut that down. Make that a lot less dramatic. There we go, kind of like that. And right now it's applying the bevel all around. But if we limit it to the weight, then it should only apply it to this top edge right here. And so then if we increase this again, it is not actually mean bevel weight. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Instead of mean bevel weight, we just click on bevel weight. I clicked the wrong thing. Anyway, so now the sides of our tread are still flat. Maybe if I go into wireframe, you can see it a little better. Yeah, so the edges over here are still flat, and it's just the front that has that kind of bull nose. And then if we want that to be a little bit cleaner, then we can go to Shade Smooth. But you'll notice our shading is a little bit off. And so now if we go to Edge Split, now it's all cleaned up. And so then what we'll do is we'll just go ahead, oops, not a plane. We'll go ahead and add a quick cube. And let's see, how taller, I think that typically each step is supposed to be about 7 inches. I think that that's what the standard is. So then we'll go ahead and just snap that to the bottom of our tread. And then bring this over here. Bring that over there. And this isn't super crucial, but we'll snap that in here. And then let's go in here. And then we'll pull this back a little bit. Maybe like right there. And so now we've got a step with a little bit of a lip. We can just go ahead and Shift D. And then now if we pull this forward and snap it to our riser, alrighty. Our bottom step is going to be a little bit shorter because, you know, this is the ground right here. But I suppose what we can do is we can just drop down our foundation a little bit more. Let's see. So if we go into Archipack and then our floor thickness, and again, we'll just go ahead and eyeball it. Bring the floor thickness down to the bottom of that step. And then 9 plus 2.175 will bring us back to exactly a 9-foot wall. Okay, so again, that is our time, and now we've got, we're just kind of getting a little bit, oh, that's kind of interesting. It only cuts down a certain distance. Huh, curious. I'll have to look into that. But we've definitely got a start on our building. So if you, I realize that we're going kind of slowly here. I'm trying to, this is kind of an intermediate tutorial where you should know a fair amount about Blender already in order to be able to follow along with this pretty easily. But I am also trying to kind of bring everyone up to about the same level, hopefully. So I apologize if this was a little bit too slow for you. I also apologize if it was a little too fast for you. Hopefully some of those beginner instruction tutorials will be a little bit more helpful if it was too fast. But you can see that we're definitely starting to get our house in place. So with that said, go ahead and join me in the next video, and I think we should probably, within about 20 minutes, we should probably be able to cover the roof, and maybe we'll even start peppering in the ground and the scene a little bit. If not, at least like maybe some textures or something like that to make it start looking a little bit more real. So with that, go ahead and see me in the next video. If you like this video, please leave a comment. Let me know what you liked about it. If there's something that you didn't like about it, if you want me to go faster, slower, explain things more, stop saying so much. I know that's something I struggle with. Please let me know in the comments down below, and I will try to tailor this content as much as possible to you guys. Ultimately, you guys are the reason that I'm making this channel, and I want to make sure that it is as valuable to you as it can possibly be. So with that, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, guys. Bye.